on to the second strategy in dealing with the defenses against the charger that goes into the same category as a stop hit. This requires us using a fist strike in here, or a linear straight speed punch, or a straight punch. Okay, so this is like the same concept, trying to accomplish the same thing, but obviously it's we're out here a lot further. So like I said before, the reason why we started with the elbow strike first, because even though we are closer, where there's a potential taking more damage, more of a collision, it's much easier to time. I literally can just, as he comes forward on me, and I can literally just kind of throw my arms up in here like this, and I kind of have a chance. I still got to time it, but I do have a chance in here like this, right? The punch, though, is a lot more complex because I have to focus this energy perfectly in here like this, all right? Now, when you do a stop hit with a straight punch, it's important that you aim basically at the throat, the chin. Do not aim at his head, all right? And the reason for that is because if he moves his head as he's coming in here, right, this is going to slide right off like this, all right? He can move his head all he wants, but he can't move his shoulders. So if he moves his head offline and he comes forward here, I still can hit him center mass in here like that. Okay? Remember, the goal is to try to stop this person's body mass. And if you hit him center mass, there's a good chance that you may catch him right in the chin and create a shock wave. Now remember, you got 4-ounce gloves on here, so you got to get close to a bare fist, but not quite. So you got to make sure that you stop the guy again. Okay? So remember, the disadvantage of this charger archetype is that his momentum is being used against him. He's not ready to be stopped. He's ready to pounce on you and stop you. He's not ready to have somebody like a battering ram into him. Okay, so it's incredibly important that you actually focus the energy on this hit in here if you're doing it, whatever side you're doing it from. But here's the goal right now. The goal is use the closest weapon when you can, the closest target. So whether you're a southpaw or whether you're orthodox in here, doesn't make any bit of difference. But use the closest hand possible in here. And a lot of times I recommend that you use a vertical punch in here. You don't have to, you can use a horizontal punch. But a vertical punch to me just makes more sense because it's faster. No matter what you do, this punch, throwing your punch in here like this, is faster than going here because this takes 2 steps of action, this takes 1, and most people can't get their forearm in a straight line real fast. Most people have a hard time, here, come over here, and square up more on me, yeah. If he comes forward, most people kind of get bent in here like this, right? They kind of hit with their elbow winged out, and a lot of times, and this just takes too much more work, I think. That doesn't mean you can't work in here, but if you are going to do it like that, you need to make sure, as he comes forward in here, right, that you get this arm, right, coming in here, out here like this in here. Now the advantage of doing this, there's several reasons why you can do this horizontal punch. The first reason is it allows me to, as I bring my head down in here like this, if you watch my chin how it drops down and I kind of bring my elbow out like this, right, I swing my elbow to the outside in here, not only am I creating more torque, I get more torque to the target, because my elbow is rotating further away from the point, the center point of rotation, which is my spine in here like this, okay? Or from this angle in here, right, bringing this thing up and coming this direction here. Not only as I create more torque, I also kind of can protect my head on the way. Because remember, if he's swinging on me at the same time, so if he swings to the left in here, bam, I can hit, center in here like this. And even though this punch comes around, I still can take it like this as opposed to having my elbow down and get cracked in here, right? But irregardless, right now is you need to be able to throw what we call a protected strike, right, on the way in. So whether it's a vertical punch or horizontal, you need to put your chin, and head down in a protected position on the way in here like this because you are meeting force on force, all right? Well, right now I'm going to demonstrate it more with the vertical punch because I think it's just easier to learn. All right, now when we do this, let's actually switch sides in here. If you take your lead hand, whatever lead side you're at, and what you're going to do is you're going to try to keep your forearm in a straight line as much as you can and try to hit upper center mass in here like this, okay? Now, when you do this in here, it's important that you hit flat, that you don't hit glancing like this or you don't hit downward like this, that you hit wherever height it is you come forward, try that I lock this thing out and not lock it out, 100%, that's 100% locked out, about a good 80-90% locked out. Now, once again, you're going to also have to find that point of impact like we did with the elbow strike on the same way. So you need to be in have a strong base, and a strong structure on the point of impact for the technique, okay? So this requires now that I can hit him further out, all right? So the same basic drill, the 3-2-1 drill in here, and he could charge in. All right, now what I'm going to do with this in here, remember, this is assuming that I can't get off center line. I can't step off center line right now. I have to stop him. I'm in a hallway. I can't get out of the way. I have to stop him head on. So he's relatively close. So what you need to do is load your stance in here, making sure that your lead arm is in a very, very powerful punching position here like this. Don't have it dangling out here. Don't think of this like a jab where you're just going to kind of do something like that. Don't think of it like that. Think about this as a battering ram coming in. Okay, so it has to be in a very powerful punching position, like you're in a press weight, with generating maximum power. Okay, so if he stays upright in here and he's going to keep his head back just for protection purposes in here, I'm going to load myself once again in here and point my front of my fist at here like this, right? Stay relatively squared up in here. Keep your other hand up here to protect you on the way in. And when you deliver this technique, you actually want to drop your head down a little bit as you come forward and let your rear hand, right, come up in here as you do that, right? You actually want to drop, remember, you could be throwing a technique on the way in, or I have to deflect or at least change my head position in here. Right, but don't get ridiculous and do something like this in here where you lose sight of the target. Right, just enough to kind of bring your chin down in here. Usually about the size of a tennis ball or a racquetball usually could fit there and you could hold it like that. Right? So same basic thing. He's here, he's getting ready to strike. He comes forward on me, and I kind of drive that thing out like that. Now remember, you see how I kind of stabilized myself and I kind of left my punch there just to make sure that I stabilized against his energy, right? Remember, because for every action is the equal opposite reaction, right? So don't do this. If he comes forward, don't go like this, right? I didn't stop him. I actually pulled my energy out before I stopped, delivered the, finish the technique. So make sure that you stop this guy, okay? So again, he could be moving around a little bit. He can act like he's going to throw a punch, but literally you got to stay forward right here like that, right? You've got to drive off the earth. This is not going to work if you just arm punch. I have to move my mass in here forward in here like this as I do that. Okay? Alright, so make sure you locomote your body mass in here. Don't pull this back and telegraph it, right? Don't try to turn it over. Don't swat. Don't fire from center line. Literally come forward, pow, right here like this. Now I should be able to lock my fist out here and see how my body's kind of inclined in here, right? As he pushes into me, push. Right, I should be able to hold here, I should be able to hold him up. As he comes forward more, and I cock my hand back, come forward all the way up here, all the way up. I should be able to embrace from you. I should be able to, just to move him like that with no problem. That's the power that I can generate from a jab or a straight linear punch like that. It was delivered in like kind of that fashion here, all right? All right, I guarantee you deliver something like that against someone charging in, I guarantee you're probably going to stop them, if not drop them real fast, okay? So what you want to do is practice kind of in little intervals in here. Start out, with a chest armor here with a kicking shield again. We're just going to use the chest armor right now so you can see what it likes to stop somebody's person's body mass. And basically I'm just going to stay crouched, loaded in here, and I'm not going to overcommit. Don't try to beat him to the hip so much, right? But as soon as he starts to move, as soon as you see movement, you want to stop him, right? Don't let him get trucking a lot, but don't over jump it in here, right? But as soon as you see movement here, right, deliver that thing out in here like that. Okay, and make sure that you kind of drive through a little bit like this and hit this guy out here. If you hit him in here, this is okay, right? This is good, this is okay too. But try to, stay relatively close, and you got to have confidence that you can do this. Remember, you can't do this. If he's coming at me, I can't go like this and expect this to work. I have to keep it's like shooting a gun with a scope. I have to keep my eyes on the target. You got to have confidence, and you got to be aggressive with this stuff. That this guy's coming in on me, and I'm going to stop this person from coming in. Okay, all right. So practice that drill right now with your lead hand using a vertical punch, working on stopping your partner coming in. Practice that and work on that. Okay, now that we've gone through the basic essence of how to deliver a stop hit punch using a straight speed punch or a vertical jab in here, let's go ahead and kind of add on to this now a little bit and kind of get a little more understanding what we're trying to do here. All right? So really, what you want to be able to do is, you're trying to find this kind of semi-locked out position on the point of impact like this, right? Your head's directly on center line, but you need to be protected. So we're assuming I know that, when I'm dealing with this charger, I know I'm going to probably take some damage, okay? So my eyes are wide open, I have 100% confidence. You know what, you may be coming at me, but I'm going to stop you right before you do anything in here like this. You got to make sure, that just like that, you need to be punching here, so you got to be ready to kind of protect yourself. That's why we want our head to come down in here. All right, here's the other advantage of this. Let's say that I goof this up, All right, let's say I don't quite time this punch and it hits him. A lot of times you see this in the MMA fights. You know, he's throwing a punch at me in here, and I'm coming forward in here like this, and he kind of hits me, but it doesn't really do anything. I hit him harder in here like that, right? Why does that happen? It happens because a lot of times at the point of impact, he doesn't have the leverage to really create a shockwave. Either he's pushing with his technique, or he's arm punching in here, or he's just not stabilized on the point of impact. And what ends up happening, he just kind of bounces off in here like that, okay? So this is why we started with that ram shield idea, to learn how to get stabilized in here, right? Irregardless, all the techniques against the charger, you need to learn how to get stabilized. That's important with any strike. Even if it's not a charger, you have to be stabilized on a point of impact if you're going to hit hard, right? But here's the thing, if you're moving around in here like this, right? Let's say that I'm on my toes, I'm being elusive in here, I'm not always rock solid like this. I got to be able to learn how to, if he comes forward in here, I need to learn how to kind of drop my weight down real fast. You need to be able to see that and then kind of slam into that guy, right? But let's say that I goof this up. Let's say this punch doesn't quite get there, right? And he's just going to keep coming forward. And if I'm moving around here and I go, oh, right, I can drop this right into a ram shield or to that elbow immediately. If you notice in here, right, I'll do it from this side. Technically, if I goof this punch up, I can just fold this right into a shield without retracting it. Okay? So that's one. So I got like a secondary defense in here real fast. It's not like on purpose. I'm trying to go like this in here, right? But I'm technically trying to do is he comes forward here. I'm kind of bringing the shield in. I'm assuming I'm going to have to go into the shield. I'm assuming as I come forward on here like this, boom, right? This thing falls apart in here. I'm going to have to go into one or two arm shield in here real fast in here like that. So that's another advantage of kind of throwing this punch with the elbow down in here. Okay. So that you can start working that into your arsenal. Have your partner, basically around the same distance as he comes forward. Practice driving in, with a shield, coming in with a punch in here like this, and then practice kind of, driving a punch, right, and then just going into the shield from there. Practice doing that now. All right. You can do that kind of in all kind of intervals. If you want to add the countdown drill, you can do that. All right. So go ahead and add that into your arsenal. Work on that and make that work for you. Try it. Alright, now that you've gone through both the stop hit with the vertical fist now, stopping your opponents, or at least feeling what it's like to stop somebody's body mass that's relatively your same weight, you can go ahead and get more creative now and be with more accuracy. So you can take a focus pad now and have your partner hold it kind of relatively where the head height would be, and have him come charging in on here as well. And make sure that your partner charges in on you, stop him. So a little more accuracy to work with in here, maybe less body mass, but this is real good for the fist strike particularly, and when we get into some of the more advanced variations of how to use the fist strike to stop somebody. So basically, take the same thing is get the right distance in here. So you want to be delivering this thing right out here like this, right? You're slightly out of range in here. Keep your fist pointed in here. And one thing I like to do a lot with, even though this is MMA specific, is not use the gloves sometimes. Is take the gloves off, because if I hit with the gloves on all the time and gauze or hand wraps, I never really get to condition my hand to really hit, and strengthen my bones in my hand. So what I like to do is hit with a bare fist a lot on a pad that's not going to, don't be hitting like a wall or something, and work on, strengthening those wrists and those metacarpal bones, and then you can go ahead and put the gloves back on, or you can just keep the gloves on, and if that's what you want to do. But I like to sometimes not use the gloves, because if I can strike effectively, correctly with the no gloves on, it's going to make it much easier with the gloves, because the gloves have some kind of safety, mental safety, mechanism to it. All right, so you're going to put the pad up in here, and I'm just going to line up on the pad and load myself in here, load my right leg, chin down, point in here, rear hand up in here. As you come forward, I'm going to stop in here like that. Okay, you can move around a little bit, but basically just right out of range in here like that. Right, and making sure that when I do that, I stick that punch through about 6 inches in here before I pull that thing out. Make sure you're not pulling it back too soon. Make sure you can stop. You can see, is that stopping you? Yep. Right, it's kind of jolts him a little bit. Okay, so kind of from a different angle in here, get more forward here. Okay, so take a focus pad now. Practice working on different heights. In here, you can crouch down with it a little bit if you want, right? They kind of symbol that mid gate coming in here, same idea, like that, right? You can start high and then kind of drop down low. I got to do the same thing, all right? So practice that drill and make that work for you. go ahead and just kind of recap, you know, what I just did in the last several segments in here about the stop hit with the fist. I can't say enough. You have to be able to hit with a strong lead straight punch of some kind, or some kind of strong, more powerful jab. I really go through this in a lot of detail in one of my other video series on the 10 important and devastating strikes that are needed for MMA competition, that I go in more depth on about the jab strike and a lot of the problems with it when people try to take it from a boxing perspective and bring it over to MMA. Okay, so let me kind of explain that. You're not going to be able to stop. So you try to throw a traditional type boxing jab in here like this, something that snaps off the shoulder in here. You're not going to stop somebody coming in like that, all right? And the jab, in martial arts, is viewed as a powerful punch, right? It's more of a setup type technique only. Well, in MMA specific, you have to flip that around. You have to view this strike, and especially against a charger, you have to view this strike as a barrier strike. So I cannot reiterate enough. You have to get into a very powerful position. So, and most people are are right-handed, so they operate with their left side forward. Even if you do with your left side forward here, let's come over this way a little more. Right? Is I have to keep my forearm in that line of force in here like this. Whether I stop, hit him or not. If I deliver a punch, just brace that in here. If I deliver a punch, I have to think about driving through in here like that. Okay? I have to literally take my body mass, take my weapon in here, drive forward in here like this. Okay? Now I need to be able to apply that same thing against a charger, except for I have to have more timing. I have to be on the right point of impact at the right time. If I goof this up just in the slide, let's say I got my hands up like this, what most people do, hands up, chin down in here, and he comes forward on me, and I hit here like this, that's just going to collapse. I don't have the strength of my triceps in here, and I could break my hand. All right, or what happens if I hold my hand, let's come this way a little more here. That's good. What if I hold my hand on center line like this? Right, some people do. He comes forward on me here, right? Come forward real hard in here, right? Right, that's just going to collapse. That's the same basic tricep, extension in here, hammering like that. That's not going to work. Or if I hold it down from here, right? All right, some boxers hold their hands down here like this for deception and stuff, which is fine, right? But against a charger in here, coming in real fast in here, if he moves real fast in here, I may not be able to get the arm up enough to time in here like this. I may or may not. So we got to have our hands up. We got to have some margin for error. So whether you're doing it from a southpaw or an orthodox stance, you have to be able to put your body in a delivery system, in a delivery position in here, where you actually can hit very powerfully and non-telegraphically in very short distance. If I was even closer in here, right, and he came at me, I could be able to hit with a hard shot in here like this, right? So my whole body mass, right, again in here, is coming forward in here like this. Even if he just stood right here, right? And he just held the pad in here, I brace that, right? I should be able to pull my hand back in here and drive that strike back in here like that, okay? So this technique in here needs to be following a very strong functional trajectory, a good line of force in here that where it pulls on all your biggest and pushing muscles if you're going to make this strike work effectively. Okay, because remember, in a split second here, you can change levels in here, right? If he puts that pad down, put that pad, right? In here, and he's moving around trying to screw with me, and he just kind of something changes levels. I need to be able to deliver that technique right there like that. I need to be able to aim that sucker center mass. If he got his head all cockeyed in here, right? I need to make sure he goes bam, that I can hit whatever I'm going to do in here. I got to be able to make sure that I can fire that technique right wherever I'm at. It's like a gun. I need to be able to sit here and go bam, bam, bam. I can't have it all in a cockeyed position. Expect to hit center mass. Okay, so practice on delivering a very stiff, powerful, non-telegraphic lead, straight, speed punch or jab when you're working the stop hit against the charger. Try it and make that work for you.